A matter of faith. Democrats embrace religion in campaign. Washington APU. When 10 Democratic presidential candidates were pressed on immigration policy during their recent debate, Pete Buttigieg took his answer in an unexpected direction. He turned the question into a matter of faith. Buttigieg, the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, accused Republicans who claim to support Christian values of hypocrisy for backing policies separating children from their families at the U.S.-Mexico border. The GOP. It was a striking moment that highlighted an evolution in the way Democrats are talking about faith in the 2020 campaign. While Republican, Buttigieg, an Episcopalian who married his husband in his home church, often invokes his faith on the campaign trail and has tangled over values with Vice President Mike Pence, an evangelical Christian. Senior. John Carr, founder of Georgetown University's Initiative on Catholic Social Thought and Public Life, urged Democrats to focus more on their personal faith and avoid wielding religion as a political weapon. When, regardless of Democrats' changing tactics, Trump and Republicans are all but certain to maintain their grip on one of the most influential religious voting blocs, white evangelicals. 8 in 10 who sell. Democrats have more appeal and opportunity with other religious voters. Votecast showed Democrats have long had to walk a tightrope with religious voters, given that their support for abortion and LGBTQ rights is at odds with leaders of several prominent denominations. The 2020 candidates aren't shying away from those differences. Warren, Fort Elizabeth. Instead, they see an opening to talk about religion as a driver of their basic values, not a litmus test. Immigration author Jim Wallis, founder of the Christian social justice group Sojourners, described the of a father and his toddler daughter who attempted to cross the border as a test of faith for policymakers. Many devout Latino. The Democratic candidates come from a variety of religious backgrounds and differ in how they speak about faith on the campaign trail. New York Senior. Kirsten Gillibrand. California Senior. Kamala Harris. And former Vice President Joe Biden has openly struggled to reconcile his Catholic faith with his party's more liberal position on abortion. In the 1970s, but Biden flouts his church's hardline positions against homosexuality and same-sex marriage. Booker speaks often about his faith as he campaigns. His home church is. The New Jersey senator generally avoids direct use of religion to criticize the GOP, but he told a South Carolina pastor during a CNN town hall in March that they. Associated Press writers Will Wiesert, Emily Swanson, and Hannah Fingerhut in Washington, Bill Barrow in Atlanta, Nick Riccardi in Denver, and Sarah Burnett in Chicago contributed.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.